May got the passengers on board. Look at all the sleeping on that we endured. Trevor got his foot to the floor of the M3.
Right.
Cam looking like a fellow dad with the big jeans.
Yeah, 59.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. No Look Passengers, episode 59. Got a very special guest in the building. We got three very special guests. Off cam, my man Spence, Corey Bird's in the building, but it's not about them. It's about the one, the only, my man Spotlight Scotty Brooks is in here, man. Everybody clap it up for him.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up,
you,
man?
guys.
Appreciate you pulling up, dude.
Yeah,
Man,
dude, this is awesome.
I appreciate you guys having me. Literally was on the way to do another event and turned it around and just to be here. So,
I appreciate the shit out of
and by the way, buy your Aladino cigars. Places.
Oh,
where
for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Anywhere great cigars are sold.
Can we
Get the
say
DX,
can we say Aldino Cigars is sponsoring this episode?
we can say JRE Tobacco is sponsoring this episode today.
Say
Nice.
less. Say less. That's
Yeah,
all we needed.
We'll make sure everybody here leaves with a nice cigar. How's
Well,
that?
if you know how
we'll
we
take it.
roll, then it'll probably be like a shout out to them every episode from here on out.
Yeah, so we actually don't have any sponsors.
But we do.
But we do. Shout out to Bush Light Peach. Shout out to KG. Shout out to Mud Brothers Vintage. Shout out to Embody.
Eddie's
Pizza.
Ring of Fire Wrestling.
Ring of Fire Wrestling,
Let's
baby.
do it.
I do want to get into the wrestling, but Mr. Scotty, local legend, I would say, the boys. And you're really good friends with Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy's the man.
Pizza. Let's start right there, bro. Shout out to Eddie's Pizza, bro.
Yep.
Man,
Like-
Mr. Mahovic treats me like a god every time I'm
Eddie-
around him. Eddie is the greatest
Papa
guy.
Eddie is the best human being.
Oh, man. So I'll tell you a really quick story about Eddie. So one night, if you guys, a guy you guys need to have on this podcast, the legend himself, local legend, Turner Kincaid.
Oh, for sure.
Men's basketball coach at East Rutherford now. Started out, there was a time me and him were roommates, and he got his first coaching gig.
Heck yeah.
Anyways, we're sitting out on his front porch over off 4th Street. And if anybody knows, that's where Mr.
Yep.
Mahovic lives.
Yep,
and
yep.
we're smoking cigars. We were smoking some nice Aladino cigars that night. And he comes over and he just starts dropping knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb.
He does that.
Talking about his time in the Albanian army.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about, just great times. Talking about how to be a man. And then I was sitting there thinking, if this man and my father got together, because my father is literally a legend in this town. Mm-hmm. If they got together and they talked, and it's literally the same thing from two different cultures.
It would just be a legendary conversation.
Yeah, you just
not-
want to sit there and put the phone on record. So
Not
that
to
you
go
can take
straight
notes.
sentimental or just change the whole topic, but like just my life, Eddie, Sammy and Valdette,
Yes.
obviously brought me in, but bro, open doors, man. Just
Absolutely.
That's my extended family for sure. Like I say, I got Albanian cousins all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
I explain to strangers when I meet people anything Albanian I see.
Yes.
I'm like, my uncle's Albanian, and like I just tell them old Eddie stories, and like, believe it or not, it's actually opened the door to a lot of conversations. Just
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Just knowing a little bit, and
Yeah.
Eddie knows so much about so many.
Yeah,
things.
I'm here recently. If you guys know Nate Allen, that hangs out, Nathan, Big Nate.
Oh,
that comes
Big-
in.
yep,
Big
yep,
Nate.
yep.
So
Sheriff,
Nate,
right?
Huh? No, he's not sheriff. Just a good dude. He goes up and hangs out with
Okay,
Eddie a
cool.
lot. And it was Nate's birthday, and me and Nate got a quick pump at the gym. He's like, "I'm going to Eddie's to eat."
Heck
So
yeah,
he and I and David Moore rolled up, and we sat down, and Eddie cooked up. I went to pull out some money to pay because that's how I am. I believe in
I
paying
know.
for
I know,
everything.
yes.
And Eddie, your money's no good here.
Yeah.
it's like, Eddie,
He does that to us sometimes too, and I mean, like, it's cool because he for 59 episodes, he's gotten a shout out.
Yeah,
I always try to like every time I swear it's like I always try to pay, like get my food
Yep.
paid.
Yes,
and it's like-
absolutely.
but
Yeah.
if I talk for Eddie for 1 second, it's like
It ends up being free or
Yeah.
it's like,
extremely
man,
cheap.
please don't
Yeah.
like let me pay for
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
Eddie.
you know,
like,
I
you got a
end up
business to
taking
run.
and like taking the money that it should have went to the food, and I give it to his waitresses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly. You got
absolutely.
to.
And that's a little hard for a guy that doesn't carry cash. So,
but
yeah,
I've had him swipe it for $5 for a tip or,
Right.
or something. Like,
yeah,
Eddie-
exactly. Yeah,
I love Eddie. Bro.
and I'll tell you
Sammy
this:
and Valdette.
Sammy and Valdette have always treated me like I'm family. Also, I knew Sammy. I think I got to know him about 2005, 2006, around the time he was graduating. Heard about him, another legendary in the papers for McDowell High Wrestling. Sammy's one of the greatest to ever come through, and I got to know him through the old school rec back whenever they had the old floor on there.
The milk crate floors.
Yes. Oh
man,
my
come on.
God. I remember whenever they rebuilt that place after it burnt down. Oh God!
And they still kept the shitty floor.
Yes, yeah, that floor was horrible.
I was playing
like
on a milk crate floor, bro. The free throw line was pet milk crates, dude.
Yeah, it was horrible. Oh my God!
Oh, I
you know,
hated it.
yeah, you would be playing in a league or something up there, and you want to go hard, and
You cannot fall.
But my crazy ass did.
Yeah, I know on that one a couple times.
My
too.
crazy ass would go diving for the ball, have skinned up elbows, skinned
You
up
don't
knees.
slide like a wooden floor. You just hit.
Yeah, you just stop, and it's like, oh, that hurt.
Ugh.
Oh, and if you barely did anything, you get like a nasty. If you
come
barely
on.
fell, you had
It's-
that milk crate
it's terrible.
indention in your
Terrible.
arm or leg for
was awful.
days, upon maybe sometimes.
And then the
weeks.
park, you could go play ball at the park, but it was lopsided. You're playing,
Yes.
you're playing full court. One side, you got to run uphill.
Well,
And it's
not
like-
only that, you would on the small goals, you would go. You could dunk on the small
left one,
on the
yeah.
left one, and then if you go up for the right one,
It
you
just
get
gets
pinned.
higher. Yeah, it
you
just
just got pinned.
It's insane, dude. Shout
You know,
out to
they
Marion.
leveled that off.
Did they?
Yeah, they finally leveled it
Well,
off.
I'd seen them working on the park for like a fucking year.
Well, they had the sinkhole.
Okay, I did see that.
They had
actually.
multiple sinkholes.
Yeah.
What the?
Had a
what the
problem with
fuck
that
is a
there.
sinkhole?
It actually went all the way back up into under City Hall at one point. They had to go back and fill that in.
That's terrifying, low key.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The world could just fall into itself. Yeah. Creepy. But Mr. Scotty, you got a big match this week. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's get into it, man.
The man, the myth, the legend himself, Frankie Kazarian.
Which I've tried to explain to Trevor, and he's
Hey,
not.
guys, I'm trying to learn.
I'm
He gets
coaching
me
him.
into it a little bit every
trying.
time.
Five-time X Division.
I'm
champion.
throwing him into the fire here. Like,
The very first AEW champion,
Legend.
tag team champions. You know, I mean, we're talking. You know, we have a mutual friend. You know, a great friend of ours is on AEW right now.
Yep,
you know,
legend.
and arguably one of the top 5, top 10 wrestlers in the world as
in
we
the
speak.
world, top 3 tag team, I would say.
I would say might go down as the greatest of all time.
I wouldn't argue.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
He's
biased.
told me
Now-
that before.
Now,
now,
I'm
I'm biased.
I'm biased.
And this is how biased I am.
But
He
the-
and I go back to the same trampoline as teenagers.
But the 2021 FTR run was fucking incredible.
Oh God, yes.
Like that.
Yes.
Come on, man.
From
You can't-
2021 to 2022.
Yeah,
oh my
but
gosh, yes.
great.
You know, FTR is amazing, but there would be no FTR in AEW without Frankie Kazarian. There, I remember having conversations with our friend. You know, whenever we were teenagers about some of these guys, and I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I was younger, I didn't watch anything but WWE because that's all there was. But now before that, I was WCW, NWA. WWF, all that back in the day.
Yep.
I didn't know about TNA, and we're talking about that's whenever you had to pay $5 to $15 every Wednesday night to watch it on pay-per-view.
They were pay-per-views.
So,
yeah.
Yes, it was a weekly pay-per-view, and that's how you had to watch
Yep.
it. And these guys, you know, you also got to remember that was also the time of illegal satellite cards.
Oh, come on.
So I mean, that was the greatest time.
when
to
you could
win,
actually
man.
get the card, you could buy the card and slide it in.
slide it in, and
Oh,
then
come
you
on.
know, and you had every channel,
Every
channel
Pay-per-views,
for like
everything.
$10.
HBO
Yes.
at night.
Skin Max.
HBO at
You
night.
feel- you
Skin
feel
Max.
me?
Spice.
You feel
HBO at night was some shit, bro.
No.
Especially as a youngin.
No,
like,
no. You got the card. You got the Spice channel.
Yeah, the soft.
Listen,
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
The Spice one was the
Yeah, it was
like
the
the
one. That was the
$29.99
one.
pay-per-view channel where it's like Brazzers TV today.
I didn't know that because all I
Yeah.
saw was just
Back in the
boobs
day,
and,
though, you
like,
give me a 5-minute Girls Gone Wild commercial and I'm good.
Oh yeah, me too.
you know
Oh,
what
I
I'm
was the
saying?
same way. I was the same way.
You give me the commercial. I don't even need to pay the package.
But anyways, we're getting off track. So we would, he would tell me about these guys all the time, and he would say, AJ Styles, you got to watch AJ Styles. You got to watch, and Jeff Jarrett was over there. Sting started coming over there. Macho.
Abyss.
Abyss started there. Now,
Underrated.
Oh, one of the
He's
greatest
an agent,
ever.
right?
Yeah, he's an agent. Yeah, and then you had Frankie was one of them. Christopher Daniels, Sanjay Dutt.
Sanjay.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on.
Jay Lethal.
And Jay Lethal. And Jay Lethal would be a little bit later.
But the Black Machismo.
But, yes.
Fucking great.
And we'll make an announcement to the
I
world
did- yeah,
about
yeah.
Jay Lethal later on this podcast.
my
We'll
bad,
keep
my
that
bad,
one
my
under.
bad.
No, you're good because it's great that you mentioned him because we got some big news coming up at Ring of Fire. Just stay tuned. So, but anyways, you go back and I would be standing there. I remember in this guy's backyard, and we'd be talking about this, and I'd be like, "Man, who cares?" And I mean, me personally, I was biased to Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And all. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, greatest ever. two of the greatest ever. You throw Flair, Steamboat Sting, Triple H in there, that might be, as far as working a match, top 6 of all time. But just he'd tell me about these guys, and then as it went on, here you keep seeing him, you keep seeing him, you keep seeing him. Might be the greatest talent to never really get it. He did go to WWE for a small time, but he never got. It was like enhancement talent.
Yep, wasn't a push.
If he would, and he wasn't even. It was like they're in California. We're going to use Frankie Kazarian on this show. It would be amazing to have seen what he could have done with a push like he got in AEW, in WWE. How much bigger a name he deserves that to this day.
100%.
I would love to see that happen.
But there's also being a fan and not wanting to mark out too much. You also have to respect the not selling yourself out.
I mean, I agree.
And that's with anybody, not just him, but like in the sport, it's like.
Well, yeah, and then you got to also remember that's where he met his wife, was at Impact, Miss Brooks. Mm-hmm. And she recently just got inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame.
Fucking beer money too.
Yes.
Dude.
Oh my God.
I love beer.
Bobby
money.
Roode, James Storm.
Come on.
As we go further in this, I'll tell you a funny story about James Storm.
Listen, we were in Nashville, and I think one of the biggest pops for just. We went to the Ric Flair last match. So it was just, we're at New Japan, and like everybody's walking. Just, the absolutely. Whole community is just there.
Yeah.
And I seen James Storm come in the cowboy hat and the black suit, the big beard. And I was like, Spence. That's fucking beer money, dude. I was like, that's James Storm. Dude,
he's great. I mean, let's be honest. He's a phenomenal worker. One of the things that I absolutely, I'll tell. Okay. Since you went that route, I'll tell this story. So I have a picture on my phone, and it's in a couple of TikTok videos that I have, and it's myself and Kazarian and the Guns, Chavo Guerrero, John Schuyler. I work in the cigar industry. I smoke cigars. It's all of us outside smoking cigars, and Cash took the picture. So we're sitting there, we're hanging out, and the funniest part of the night, by far, was these guys. I just sat there, kept my mouth shut, because it's like all of these guys belong except one.
To an extent, but you're there.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there for a reason. I think this is so cool, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut. I'm not being a dick, and which is surprising for me. But just sitting there hanging out, and the whole time, all I hear is all these funny ass stories about James Storm. One of them was Chavo and Frankie are in Scotland. Okay, and it was when TNA was doing their tour through Scotland, and they sit there and they said, "How was it?" There was at this bar. They were up on the second level. And they look down and they see James, and he's talking to this hot girl, and then she leaves. And they're like, "Watch this! I guarantee he says he." They walk down, and then next thing you know is, "Yeah, guys, did y'all see that girl I was with?" Yeah. What was she like? Yeah. I fucked her in the bathroom right before y'all got here. He's that guy. I got told by multiple while over there, like how multiple people in that group said he is the type of guy that lives in a cul-de-sac in Nashville, but no matter who he's talking to, he insert famous country music singer in Nashville at the time. So I guess now it's Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen. Yeah, their ranch backs up to my property in Nashville. He's just that guy.
Yeah, we all know a guy like that too.
Hey, well, he's a legend to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen. He has accomplished so much that he can say and do whatever he wants.
Man.
Yeah. But I just think it's hilarious. To me personally, I just think that's one of the funniest things.
He's fucking great, dude. Beer money, and then the bottle drops. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not like that?
But even back to that like whole era of just like, I remember being a child, and I would go stay with my grandma specifically on Wednesday nights because TNA would come on.
Yes.
And grandma didn't make me go to bed at 9:00.
Right.
And I could stay in the side bedroom and watch the TV, bro. And the octagon, was it no?
Hexagon.
Hexagon. It was
six-sided, yeah.
The six-sided ring was fucking crazy to me at the time. Like,
I worked in one of those one time.
I've heard people talking. It was kind of more stiff. The ropes didn't give. Or like,
I didn't like it. It was weird. Running the ropes is weird.
It's smaller too, right?
It's like a 16 by 16 by 16, I guess, or whatever. You only got so much room to play in. I worked in one once or twice, and it was for lack of a better term, a mind fuck. Because you're sitting there, you're
it's
like,
like
which way? You're like, okay, which ropes do I throw him into?
Because they can go diagonal, It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
But the 6-sided ring at the time, I was watching it, and as a child, I was like, bro, this is so much different. Like, it's not
Right.
It's not WWE. It's not.
Well, and I think that's great. That's what a lot of these people forget is you got to make yourself different. There's nothing wrong with, being on the indie scene and I mean, okay, I'm not going to lie. I use 2 moves for a finish that guys in WWE have used. I use an elbow drop and I use the GTS.
If it ain't broke.
I mean, right. But at the same time, I do understand some people that criticize me and saying, well, people see the GTS every week. I'm like, well, they haven't seen it in about 2 years because the guy's been hurt.
Yeah.
So
not wrong.
But at the same time, there is that level of creativity. But how many people have also used the same move over and over? I mean, Sting and Bret Hart, sharpshooter, scorpion deathlock. I mean, I can go on and on and on with that.
Yeah, it's
Shawn
like,
Michaels and Macho used the elbow
nothing's
drop.
new under the sun, though.
Yeah,
like it's.
And then you see, and I've got a little small gripe about some of the wrestlers today is. I listened to Al Snow talk the other day. Of all places that I couldn't believe he was on. He was on Vince Russo's podcast. I'm a drive-through guy. I'm a Cornette guy.
I like Cornette.
I love Cornette because
but there is something about hearing Vince Russo just get mad and say "bro" every other word.
Bro, let me tell you, bro. I mean,
it's very comedic.
It's like you with I know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
I say that all the time. I'm trying to quit.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We try our best. I say like too much.
Yeah, I do that too.
And he gets me in the you know what I'm saying thing a little bit. Yeah.
Like how does that work?
I just whenever you hear it too much, you know what I'm saying?
I guess I can understand like what that's like.
Yeah. And I also make the joke.
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Yeah. I've also watched way too many underground rapper interviews. You know what I'm saying?
Where they're all drugged out and just like,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's how it is. So
I literally looked at a guy one time. I was like, no, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Actually, no, I don't understand.
I don't understand a fucking word you're saying.
I was like trying to show my dad like an interview with just a podcast interview with some rapper who I liked, and it was like, this guy, he makes the most amazing music, and he kept doing that. My dad's like, I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
But that goes back into what's so fascinating about wrestling, bro. Is like, this is what I try so hard to get my non-wrestling fan friends into it, and I'm like, you got to understand, he has to go say this in front of 50,000 people on live television.
And a million people.
And do a good job.
Millions.
Convince a bunch of people.
And millions.
I've got mad respect for it.
Well, I mean, think about this. WrestleMania last year, 2023. We don't know the 2024 numbers. But the 2023 night 2 of WrestleMania, Roman versus Cody, was watched by 500 million people worldwide. And that's not counting the 85,000 people that were there that night.
It's also not counting the social media clips that have been chopped up and viewed
millions of
times.
And that's also not counting the people that streamed it illegally.
Yeah.
True.
Those numbers, those analytics get lost.
But anyways, where I was going with this is Al Snow was talking, and this is my gripe with indie wrestling, and it's a little bit with AEW. They're going to get somebody killed. I really feel like somebody's going to get killed one of these days in this business because of the stupid stuff people are doing nowadays. Now, I can be called old school or, he's the guy shouting, get off my lawn, like Jim Cornette or whatever. And listen, I understand there's a talent and I understand there's this, but whenever I hear the word, whenever people say, oh, I work strong style, I'm like, so you don't
care about the person.
You're just killing the guy.
Yeah.
And I might be pulling the curtain back a little bit too much, but I really honestly feel like if you're watching, go out and look at it. Al Snow talking about somebody's going to get killed in the business, and he can explain it a lot better than me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's scary. I mean, he showed 3 clips from a past AEW show that was on in the same night, and it's like, how do you protect this guy?
Yeah.
How do you do this move with this guy? Being able and see, part of the problem is, and listen, I want to guarantee. Okay, I want to guarantee every time I come in, but this is one of the problems that guaranteed money does is because now, guess what? You might only wrestle once every 6 weeks. You're still going to get a paycheck every week. And then on top of that, if you get hurt, you still get a paycheck. Well, see, back in the day, in the 90s and the 2000s,
it's all about spots,
you got paid where you were on the card by X amount. You got a downside guarantee, but you also got
Upside.
You know, if you once you hit that get downside guarantee and you made past that, your check starts increasing, kind of like being a car salesman.
Yeah.
And you know, these guys would be like, "No, I'm not doing that. I got to support my family. I got to go. You know, if I don't work, I don't get paid." Because I'm not getting a downside guarantee. I'm not guaranteed $5 million.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wish. Listen, I have no problem with the acrobatic spots and everything. Just do it safely.
For sure.
Do it without killing somebody. Because I mean, I don't want another Owen Hart on.
No.
On
but
the
even
card.
then, that wasn't even a spot. I don't want to.
I'll tell you one that I was on. And again, pulling the curtain back. I was on a show. I'm not going to call the promotion, and I'm not going to tell where it was at. But they offered me, and the people that are watching that are wrestling, you guys will know what I'm talking about. They offered me the match before they offered it to the other people. They said, "You want to do a Flaming Tables match?" Mm-hmm. I looked them right down in the eyes and was like, "You got Flaming Tables money?"
I mean,
we'll talk. They're like, "Well, what's Flaming Tables money?" I was like, "Well, hospital bill's going to be this much. I want this much to go through the table, so I want X amount." And they looked at me and thought that I was crazy. And I told them, I said, "Listen, you're going to hurt somebody really bad.
Yeah.
You're going, somebody's going to get hurt." Well, that match comes up. It was the sub-main event. I was in the main. And I went to the curtain. I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
The person goes through the table. First off, they said this guy poured a crap ton of lighter fluid on it. He did, but you also got to remember, the lighter fluid comes out like a pinhole. So it can look like you're putting a lot out.
It's not a whole lot.
But he put maybe that much of the can out there, right? Takes the lighter or a match, throws it on there, table lights up.
Burning wood, essentially, though.
Right, and then he power bombs the guy through. That was the spot. A piece of the table flies off on the outside and hits a fan. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not going to happen at AEW or WWE. More than likely. I mean, there's always, freak accidents that happen.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these guys forget. They're not AEW. They're not WWE. They're not TNA Impact or New Japan.
They're not even a GCW.
Right. They're not.
It's like,
they're not. And if somebody at GCW said, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'd be like, "No."
But that's a little different too. You know what you get when you go to one of those.
Right. That's exactly right. But and then the kid that gets powerbombed gets up and is screaming and runs through the curtain. And we literally had water in a cooler, like one of the, like during the summer where you go up and you grab it out of the cooler, like the shape like the beer can or whatever.
Yeah.
We had water in one of those coolers in this building. We literally took the ice and the water, and this is the middle of December, and we dumped it on this kid, and then we had to call the paramedics and shut the show down.
Damn.
And I'm sitting there, and I told them right before that, I said, "Here's how you get out of this. Tell them that the fire department was right next door. All you gotta say is the fire marshal came over and said, 'No flaming tables. This is a historic building,' which it was. No flaming tables, and then but you're still gonna have a tables match tonight. The fans still get part of what they paid for.
Yeah.
And then you get to make the government the bad guy, which everybody, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Anybody gets pissed off at the man.
Then you bring the lighter fluid out, have something happen, and gets.
You don't even do that. You just do a tables match.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Can do it.
But no, these idiots wanted to do something stupid.
The one of the craziest spots. We gotta take a break here in a second. The camera's about to die. But one of the craziest spots I've seen recently was a Darby Allin through the glass off that ladder, bro.
Yeah,
that dude's insane, bro.
Well,
that dude is insane.
Listen, these kids. It was okay. Darby Allin is a trained professional. I'm not going to crap all over Darby Allin, but I do feel like somebody's going to get hurt really bad.
And I don't even think it's going to be his fault.
No, it's not. It's going to be. It's not even going to be the other person's fault.
I mean, whenever I watch wrestling, I don't see how people do get hurt.
Yeah,
because like he told me one time, it's like, look, you can sit here and you can say that it's fake, but whenever they're fucking jumping off of this,
yeah.
Well, look,
I didn't want to say it.
I'll say this: I've never once
don't say those 4-letter words around me.
I've never once said that it was, but he said, for example, people who say that, when you got this motherfucker in like a cage match and they're on top of the cage and they slam each other through and someone's
that's real.
Goes through their head, like that's real.
Yeah, it is.
It's all real. I mean, it might be the whole thing is a show to engage people and create fans, which is fine. I told him my favorite thing about it is like every one of those guys out there could be an actor in multi-million-dollar movies, and that's why a lot of them go on to do stuff like that, because it's a craft and it's an art form.
It is.
And that's what I actually
beautiful
enjoy.
art form.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy about it whenever I do watch it.
Well, I'll pull the curtain back on this. Whenever you see them take an average bump, like just off a clothesline or whatever, they take a shoulder tackle. That is the equivalent of sitting at a stoplight and being rear-ended by a car at 35 miles an hour.
I believe it.
I mean, think about that. Think about if you were sitting
And over and over again.
Yes, and
Yeah.
you might do that 30, 40 times a match.
Yeah.
I mean, just fall on the floor right now.
Yeah, nobody wants to, right?
Yeah,
I damn
you know,
sure don't
just
want to be
like-
slammed by someone like this.
Oh
you
God,
know?
no!
Hell
Hell,
no.
I'll say this, and I'll let you guys wrap up this part. Talking about injuries, I wrestled in 2005, 2006, maybe even in 2007, for about 6 months, twice, with a fractured elbow.
Yeah.
Damn. Just from taking bumps?
Yeah, it was this bone right here that connects the small bone.
Yep.
I went there. First time I went, it was shattered. And then the second time I went, it was a fracture through. And there's nothing, you can't put it in a cast or anything. You
No,
just can't
you
do
have to
anything.
deal with
you
it.
just gotta-
You just got to deal with it. So, I mean, I was just putting an elbow pad, and every time I would fall or do anything, it would swell up the size of a tennis ball. Every time.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's
these
what I'm
guys
saying.
are.
I hate when a
Lawrence
motherfucker.
Taylor said it's the equivalent of playing an entire NFL season in one night.
One day.
I believe
That's
that.
insane.
I could believe that. Because in the NFL, like, you're not getting hit every play.
Right.
But you're getting pushed and shoved, and
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
you're not
You're not
going
taking
through
a
it.
hit like
you're not
that.
going
Yeah.
through a ladder every match, but
Yeah.
you're hitting
Yeah.
you're hitting the ground, bro.
That's exactly right.
All right, so you just said you got injured in 05.
Yeah.
So when did the career start? What actually? Let's see. What got you into wrestling?
All right.
And then-
we'll go there.
And then there's another part question, because what got you into it, and then what was the one that was like, okay, I want to do this.
All right. So, what got me into wrestling? So, every Saturday morning and every Saturday night, this is before Monday Night Raw ever happened. This is before any of that. My father and I, who, again, local legend, would watch WCW Saturday morning, WCW Saturday night, and I was a little stinger. Like, I became,
Okay.
at first, I would love the Rock and Roll Express.
Now, was it Surfer Sting?
Yes,
At the
sir.
time? Okay.
This is 1987, 88, 89 Sting. So
Okay.
Surfer Sting. There's a childhood photo of me with a mullet, and Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express was one of my favorites. And that ended up being one of my opponents.
Also a
later on.
legend, bro.
Yeah,
he goes to so many indie events.
Not only that, trained Shawn Michaels, trained The Undertaker, trained
didn't know
Kane.
that. I
Yeah,
didn't know
it had a big, and I'll get to that in a second. Had a big impact in my career. Went from that later in high school. So we kind of let the cat out of the bag. There was a bunch of us in high school that liked wrestling, and I don't know if they still had it. The Odyssey or whatever. What was the paper in the high school called? Did you guys still have the school newspaper back in the day?
No, but they named the yearbook the Odyssey.
Yeah,
when I
okay.
was there.
So
Okay.
we also used to have, it was kind of like the McDowell News. You had a newspaper.
Yep.
Came out once a month or like once every other week or
See,
something
we
like
had
that.
TVs in my day. They did the news on the
Well,
TV.
no, we did that too.
No, I'm just
What?
kidding.
No,
I'm just fucking-
yeah. You know what? Fuck you. Kid.
fucking-
But no, we had the newspaper. We had the news every morning. Did y'all still have Channel 1?
Yeah, Channel
Yeah.
1.
There
bro,
you go.
Channel 1.
Yeah, Channel
You
1.
love that 20 minutes every day with Channel
Every
1.
day.
Yeah. But we did that, and I noticed, I was like, hey, I got reading in the article. I'm like, hey, I know these guys. I knew some of them, and shout out to Tommy Key, who went by the image breaker Tom Williams as we progressed. I said, hell, let's try it. So I'm 15 at the time. I had my dad take me to this guy's house, drop me off. They broke me in, and we were on a trampoline at the
Hell
time.
yeah.
All right, we did that for like 2 or 3 years. Every other Sunday was down there wrestling, so to speak, and meet this young 5'9", 5'10" boy by the name of Daniel Wheeler one day. Legend, who would later become Cash Wheeler. And we started on the same trampoline. And if
Now,
you
were you guys
listen to-
working on the like?
yeah, like working
God.
on the trampoline. I'll tell you what. There's I saw him and his best friend. Not gonna call any names on that one. He was a former wrestler for a little while. I saw him do some of the most dangerous stuff, like I was talking about. I was like, these guys are going to kill each other, you know.
Yeah.
And Daniel would be his bump dummy. And then I'm sitting there, and what I started watching was Daniel started learning how to put matches together better, and I started wanting to copy that. He was he was a student of Lance Storm, Bret Hart, Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles, all these guys, you know, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels. I was the biggest Shawn Michaels guy ever. And I break into the business the same way he did. If you listen to the Jim Cornette podcast, I won't go into too much about that, but the same way. We would go to a local show in 2002. My dad, working for being a former magistrate and former cop, would work the rec department for us.
Now, was this when it was at the armory,
no,
right?
it was at the rec center.
Oh, okay.
This is way back in the
milk crate floor. Right?
Yes, milk crate.
I didn't.
rec.
Shit,
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had.
Yeah, and they would run like once every 3 months up there, and so we would come help them put up the ring, and in turn they would teach us how to run the ropes and how to bump. On top of that, once we learned how to do that, we were putting on better matches than those outlaw veterans, than the Mud Show guys. We were going in there, and so I went off to the Army. This is after my stint in the Marine Corps. I went off to the Army after that. I came back, and Tommy and Daniel came to me and said, "Hey, we bought a wrestling ring, and we got a promotion. Do you want to be in it?"
Hell yeah.
You're damn right I want to be a part of this.
Fuck yeah.
And this is probably 05, 06.
Yeah.
And the legend of Spotlight Scotty Brooks was born. And started immediately skyrocketing. But in between that time, we were working in Forest City for New Blood Championship Wrestling. I was the one that was actually going down to other places. Me and Daniel we were going all over the place. I would go to APW in Spartanburg, American Pro Wrestling, Jay Eagle, Ricky Morton, Mickey Richards, another local name, legend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got.
I see him at the gym all the time.
Yeah, I love Mickey.
I wanna
Mickey's
say
my
what's
boy.
up, but like-
I just tagged with him this past
Heck yeah.
Saturday. I love Mickey.
No, it's funny, bro.
I've
seen him at the gym. I mean, Old Club Fitness days,
Yes,
bro.
yes.
So I've never spoke to. I mean, years, like
Right.
a decade probably of just like
Right.
passing this guy. And I was wearing Shawn Michaels and a Stone Cold WrestleMania. Was it 16?
14.
14.
Yep.
WrestleMania 14. I had a shirt on. He just walked by me one day in the gym and just like that shirt.
Yeah.
And just kept it moving. And
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, finally, dude,
Yeah,
finally.
Mickey's a cool cat. So when my dad was magistrate, one of his side jobs that he had for a free gym membership was the old Elite Fitness in the 80s and 90s that was out on 221 North. He would run that, and I would run around in there as a 6, 7-year-old kid. And again, loved wrestling every Saturday, every Monday night, Monday Nitro. I remember watching the Barbarian and Ming take down Hulk Hogan and Sting, and I was so mad. No. And then 2 years ago, I finally got to work Barb for the first time, and it was a dream come true.
Hell yeah.
But, just that's how the story began, going to those places. Buddy Landale kind of took me under his wing. Ricky Morton took me under his wing for a long time and helped me. Bobby Eaton, one of the greatest. There's actually a video of me, a very young Scotty Brooks, working with Bobby Eaton at a tag team match. And I mean, just, looking back, looking at how much I learned from those guys, how to do things the proper way, how to put the match together,
it makes me almost mad at myself, bro, because it took, like I said, there's a period in my life where I was like, I let other people's opinions, like, oh, you want to be a wrestler, bro, that's whack, you know what I'm saying? And I let someone's opinions affect me, and I didn't do that, bro. But like looking back at it now, it's like there's so much legendary shit. It was around me the whole time, bro. And now I'm almost 30 and I'm washed up, and it's like,
think
fuck.
Think about it like this: how many times in life are we influenced by what everybody else wants us to be?
Oh,
not
100%.
What we want to be.
I didn't
100%.
realize till I was 21 years old that I ain't got to do shit nobody wants me to do.
That's right.
You know?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm glad I realized that then, but man, it would have been nice to realize it at 12 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, even I fell to that, but looking back, so I was the kid that was the opposite of you guys. I was first kindergarten through 8th grade. I made Screech and Urkel from Saved by the Bell and Family Matters look like
Screech.
I made them look like Zach Morris. You know, I was the biggest nerd, and believe it or not, I was so skinny. Though for those that watch this that knew me way back in the day,
What were you a nerd about?
Oh, everything. Like
Just were you like what?
I was that smart kid that wanted to make straight A's. That
Yeah.
was just a nerd. Just
Into sci-fi and
no,
fantasy?
not necessarily. I
Okay.
mean, I'm still into some of that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Now, I was a nerd.
You know,
I was a nerd.
I was a nerd about wrestling, but I was a sports guy. I was the nerd that wanted to play sports all the time.
Okay.
You know, but you
You would have made a good coach.
yeah, you know, and that was
You know
something I did
a lot
later.
of stuff about it.
Right, and I could execute to an extent, but you know, I wanted to be better than I was.
Yeah.
You know, and still do. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I would kill. You know, I mean. Look, I mean, I think that. What do you think? Does that look pretty good?
I
One
mean,
of these
it looks
days?
pretty good.
One of these days.
I
you know,
love it,
maybe,
man.
Maybe
It
one of
look-
these days. You know, you never know. But you know, I was that guy. I was, you know, and it was up until about 4 years ago. I mean, I only weighed, you know, maybe 180, 190 pounds, and you know, I really got serious about it. But yeah, going back, got into wrestling. Tried to work out, tried to gain weight. Went in the Army, weighed 150 pounds, came out, weighed 170.
Yeah.
You know, at 6'2", you know, that doesn't make a great wrestler. And I used to get thrown around every night by guys like Jackson Riker / Gunner off TNA.
Yep.
Whenever they were on their way up. You know, the list goes on and on with that. But, you know, I'm glad it happened. It made me a better.
So how do you get into like going from almost knowing what you're doing on the trampoline and then like getting into training? Like how do you make that like jump to like, okay,
repetitions? Just
okay,
reps.
just
Just
reps in
reps.
the gym.
Right now, and I mean, I'll shout him out, and he doesn't know me really from Adam's House Cab, but everybody that's coming out of his school, if you're interested in getting into wrestling, do you remember, I know one of the guys off camera will know who I'm getting ready to speak about. His name's Brad Kane, went by Lodi in WCW.
Lodi? No, that's
He
I
was a part of Raven's Flock back in the day.
okay, Raven's Flock, I know.
Okay, he was the one Lodi, had the weird goggles.
Okay,
and all.
yeah.
He has a school
yeah.
now in
Okay.
Charlotte.
Okay,
And
cool.
that guy is trained. Everybody that's coming out of that is A1 tops.
Morton has a school close by, right?
Yeah,
Tennessee,
it's about
maybe?
4.5 hours away. It's
okay.
the school of Morton.
One of
Those
the-
guys are great. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to bang for your buck, and I mean, this guy's probably going to put more people in WWE than anybody in the next little bit, it's Lodi. I mean,
Okay.
his guys
Cool.
that are coming
That's a
out there.
nice shout out.
Those,
I mean,
those
even
guys
then,
are
like-
those guys are phenomenal. And since I've been back, I took an 8-year sabbatical, and I mean the business changed. Whenever I left, these guys were men. Like I'm talking about, you know, guys like Gunner, guys like Cash Wheeler, guys like John Schuyler, Kazarian. These were the guys that were in the locker room on an indie circuit. On a daily basis, you walk into a man's man.
Also-
nowadays, you got kids in there that were my size, and that's your main eventer.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, well,
Because he has a social media presence, right? It's a different game.
Well, that or they can do the acrobatic stuff. But if you look at it, the stuff that still gets over is the old school stuff,
Old school,
like
man.
Punk, like LA Knight, like Cody, you know, like Drew McIntyre. The old school stuff is still what people clamor for.
So
Yeah.
what do you think the between, you know, since you left the first time and now, what do you think is the biggest difference? Is it just work rate, or is it because like you said,
I don't like the term work rate. I like I like the.
because
This is going to be very controversial, what I'm about to say. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm going
love
to say
it.
it.
We love
I'm going to say it. And Jim Cornette said it. And a lot of these other guys have said it. It used to be the fan bought the ticket and, and watched the men perform. Nowadays, the fan is performing for the guy that can actually do it better.
I could see that.
You get what I'm saying?
I can
mean,
see that.
And I'm not, there's exceptions to every rule. Somebody like Darby Allin, the Young Bucks, people like that. But then, I sit here and I watch other people come out there, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And I'm sitting there going, there's a lot of these guys that I'm watching on TV now, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like I'm this great guy, but I'm sitting there going, I know 10 guys on the indie circuit right now that are better than that guy. I am better than that guy. And and it's not a social media presence. It's just
I was about to say, is that where popularity comes in? Because like we see it a lot of times in a lot of different fields, like even podcasting or music, especially. Like anyone who's ever made music, you hear people on the radio, you're like, well, I know fucking 20 people right now that ain't never got a shot who are better than that.
Well, I know. Like, let's take country music
like
for a second.
Popularity.
Let's take country music for a second. Me personally, I would rather listen to Sturgill Simpson all day or Tyler Childers than, and these are outlaw country guys by today's standards.
I mean, they told Tyler Childers he wasn't good enough, and like, who the fuck are you to say that? Because he's amazing.
Yeah, he is, and I mean, White House Road. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I think what you just said is prevalent in a lot of different fields. Is like,
I like that word.
What?
Prevalent.
You like that?
That's the word we were looking for.
It was.
Today's secret word on Sesame Street.
We gave him a bunch of shit about that, and we were looking for it.
I was trying to think of that word the other day for like 15
There
minutes.
it is.
But across a bunch of different fields, it's like, damn it, Trevor, you fucked me up. I don't even know where I was going with that.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's go back. But that's one of those things that's changed. It's not the there's a lot of these kids that are really good. I'll give a shout out right now. I think one of the best kids coming up right now. There's two guys that are fantastic to watch, and I'm sorry I'm not going to mention everybody, but there's this guy that I really want you guys to check out while you're there. His name is Dante Khalifa. This guy is phenomenal. And then if you guys come to the June 22nd show or shows afterwards, there's a guy by the name of Zay Vega.
Listen, real quick, shout out the show this Friday. Give him the date, address.
So this Saturday night, June 1st, Neil Clark Rec Center, Hickory, North Carolina, Spotlight Scotty Brooks versus Frankie Kazarian in the main event for the ROFW World Heavyweight Championship. You got some other guys, Whiskey Business taking on Fisticuffs. That's going to be a phenomenal match. That'll be in the sub-main.
Whiskey Business is tag
team, man.
Great fucking tag
team. Oh,
dude.
They're great. They're phenomenal. They're a great name, great talent. Braden Marshall, Johnny Ryder, keep going on down the road, man. At Fisticuffs, those guys are phenomenal. You got in the opening bout, you're going to have Tommy Okami. This kid just graduated a year or two ago out of Firestar Wrestling, taking on Trey Chaos. That match is going to be, Trey opened up last year against Zay Vega, and that was arguably one of the best matches of the night. Until I went out there and almost bled to death.
Shut it down, baby.
And then you got, and there's other guys on the card, J.C. Owens, Gunnar Rose. There's a couple surprises that I can't tell you about. If I'm missing your match, guys, I'm sorry. I don't have anything written in front of me. I apologize 100%.
It's all freestyle, for the true fans.
So you got those guys. And then if you tune in June 22nd, so you dropped his name earlier, I'll go ahead and say it. You're going to see me in action. I'm not going to tell you in what way, shape, or form, but with none other than one of the greatest wrestlers in the world right now on Ring of Honor, AEW, Jay Lethal.
Okay.
I will be sharing a ring with Jay Lethal.
I don't want to geek too hard on that. I don't want to spill the sauce, but that shit's fucking awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and then
great,
June 7th, June 8th, I'm going to be in Metropolis, Illinois for the Superman Festival, and possibly get to share the ring with one of the legends, Jerry the King Lawler.
Wow, that's fire.
So they're 3 out of the next 4 weeks. It's surreal, man.
I sorry to say. Surreal. So what's it feel like going from, like, as a kid looking up? Because this is what I love the most about the business. It's like what I told you, like how I explained to Trevor, like, bro, you have this dream of doing this thing that no one else, everyone else around you is gonna tell you that's a pipe dream, dude.
Right.
Just go to Baxter and fill the IV bags.
I heard it from everybody. Yeah.
It's like, bro, y'all really be out here like hustling, like boots on the ground working.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. It's just like any other sport. You go out. The only way to get better is to actually do it.
Time in the gym.
The problem with wrestling is unless you're with one of the big companies like WWE, which is really the only one, you're not getting the reps that you need. You got to remember back in the 80s, 90s, these guys were wrestling 300 nights a year. So they got good real
early
quick.
2000s.
Yeah, even in
that's just recently changed.
Even in the talking with Cash, I talked about his WWE schedule. I don't know how he did it. That's 270 nights a year.
Because even then, it's like, not to cut you off, but it's like it really is chasing a dream. It
Well-
really is putting the dream above everything
Well,
else.
think about how good you can get on an everyday basis. I'm a huge basketball fan, huge college basketball fan. Tar Heels till I die.
I started to say Tar Heels or Duke.
Tar,
Yeah,
Tar
that's
Heels,
what I'm
man.
talking
Tar Heels.
about.
Well, my cousin is Roy Williams.
Oh, legend, bro.
You know,
Come
so-
Born
on.
here.
Born here.
in Marion.
Marion,
So
bro.
yeah, I mean,
Shout out to Hubert Davis too, though.
yeah,
man.
Hubert, we love you.
Come on.
But at the same time,
And shout out to RJ Davis for coming back too.
yeah,
man.
right. And Elliot Cadeau.
And Elliot
Cadeau
Cadeau came back.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm a student of the game. So, you know, but think about how good somebody can get on a daily basis with basketball. Okay, so if you're playing basketball every day, you can go to the park, you can go to the rec centers, you can go to the YMCA every day, and you can put 300 plus days into your craft.
Yep.
As a pro wrestler, I might, if I go to a school and I practice every day, okay, that's different. But if I live 2 hours from a school, I get 1 day, 4 hours, 4 hours, maybe, you know, like get there 4 or 5 hours before, help set up the ring, get in the building, maybe train a little bit, and then I got my match.
Yep.
That's not a lot of time. But now there is the law of 100 that says if I spend an hour of 100 hours per year doing something, I will be better at it than anyone else, than 95% of the other people. That's an average of 18 minutes a day. So now maybe I can't go to the ring, but can I watch a match every day and try to
And
break
learn.
something down? Can I learn and go, okay, well, that spot's great, but can I
Watch the play footage.
Right. Or can I do this? Can I do that during this match? Can I incorporate this somehow? Then can I also, you know, okay, big part. This is one of the things I hate. You know, look at the guys that are over. It's the guys like Roman Reigns, The Rock, Cody. If you want to look in TNA, Nick Nemeth. Look in AEW. Well, even Kenny Omega. These guys are the bigger guys. They look like the athletes.
Yep.
You know, the guys, even FTR. Yeah, you know, look, Cash and Dax look like athletes. They look like a guy, you know, what's their gimmick? You know, no flips, just fists, right?
Yep.
That's the old Revival gimmick, then still with FTR. So they look like two guys, if you met them
That
out in
will
the
beat
bar,
the
that will
fuck out
beat
of
the
you.
fuck out. And I've seen it a couple of times with one of them, you know, I mean, you know, I can attest that they can live that gimmick if they want to.
100%.
You know, but it's, you know, it's one of those things that you don't have the ability to go practice and go work every day. So you got to take advantage of everything. That promoter might only give you 8 minutes on the card. So you got to take advantage of all 8 minutes. But that also means being smart about it. A lot of these guys nowadays, watch it tomorrow night. I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm crapping all over AEW. Watch it tonight on NXT. Watch it on Monday Night Raw. Watch it on New Japan. A lot of these guys want to go out there because they only get a limited amount of time, and they want to do every spot under the sun. Well, if I hot shot it, how am I going to? What if I do everything? What makes you want to come back?
Yeah.
What makes you
exactly.
want to come back? If I go out there and I give you everything that you've ever seen, what's the next thing? Set myself on fire, or shoot me through a cannon? You know, you
I
can't.
get that.
You can't. You know, there's someone. That's what makes a great concert. Doing something. Okay, they give you everything, but then what do they do the next time? They top that, and then they top that, and then they top that.
That's why.
Think about the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
They've been out there for years, right? And they have they give you something different every year. 80 years, and they still got their sound, but they're giving you something different every time.
Every single time.
Look, as the guy that doesn't know a lot, I heard you say something earlier, and I have this question for you.
Go ahead.
You said that you was, you know, there was a picture of you and some other people, and I heard you name them, and it's actually people I've heard of, so they're really famous.
Yep.
You said there was one guy there that doesn't belong, and you were talking about yourself.
Right.
So as someone who's pursuing this dream, do you ever deal with feeling that little bit of imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Because I feel that now.
I feel that. I feel that when I'm with the car people.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, listen, this was a shoot. I put it in the promo. If you've not seen it on my Facebook and Instagram, there's a part in the promo. I'm not going to lie. I ripped it from Cody. I said, am I scared? Am I nervous about getting in the ring with Frankie Kazarian? Yeah, but I still want to fight Frankie Kazarian.
Of course.
Fuck yeah.
You know?
You're gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I mean, it'd be like if I was Jake Paul getting ready to get in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know, I'll tell you this. This is what really calmed me. This past Saturday, or was it? Yeah, or was it? No, it was Friday. No, Saturday. It was this past Saturday. I had dinner with my parents at a restaurant, and I was meeting them there, and I was listening to this Mike Tyson clip on the way there.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson said something that I never thought I'd ever hear come out of his mouth. He said, people ask me, do I get scared? Well, yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared right now because I'm scared. I'm scared that this guy, he can beat me. I've watched him do this. I'm scared. This guy, and I was like, wow, Mike Tyson's scared. And then I realized where he was going with it. And he said, I'm the most scared right before I walk through the curtain. When I walk through the curtain, that fear slowly starts to erode. As I'm walking down there, I get more and more confident. As I'm walking, the confidence builds. Then when I step into the ring, by the time I get there, I'm a god. Mm-hmm. And then he talks about breaking the other person.
Bro, I got cold chills right now.
Yeah,
no bullshit.
And then he looks at it. He talks about looking in the guy's eyes. If you watch Tyson, he never takes his eyes off the guy. Right? He's followed him. Think back to the Peter McNeely fight. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan said it best. He looked like a lion watching his prey. His eyes are going back and forth. And while McNeely's standing there, and he says, when the guy drops his eyes, even for a tenth of a second, I know I've got him. I mean, I heard that and I was like, that's what I needed to hear. Yep. I don't know what anybody believes a higher power, that might have been put there for me to hear that. So do I deal with the imposter syndrome? I mean,
you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of relate like the dream that you're chasing to like any of the dreams that I've ever chased, and you've actually gotten to a point in this dream where it's like I'm, rubbing elbows with these people.
Yes.
And you're like, you're there. You're there. Like all the manifestation, all of the true feelings and dreams and beliefs.
Yes.
They're all right there. It's like I'm in the room with these people.
Yes.
So I understand like imposter syndrome's not an insult. It's like
no,
you're
I
not
get
an
it.
imposter.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Yeah.
You feel like, should I even be here?
Yeah. No, I've been in, I'll tell you, I had the same feeling back in March, right before we announced the match. I was at the Arnold Classic. If you guys saw that, I was at the Arnold Classic. I was taking the belt, and I was saying, who can challenge me? I went up to Muay Thai fighters, MMA fighters, bodybuilders, all that. It was a good little story to tell, right? I was like, look, not saying if you're worthy, but do you want to try to step in the ring with the champ? And, I'll be honest with you. I met 8-time Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman, 4-time Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler. I met the greatest of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I met
shout out to Pumping Iron.
I met.
Other than what he did, the bodybuilding, like
greatest actor. Greatest highest grossing actor of all time till The Rock came on. Let's be honest.
Everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's go. 8-time Mr. Olympia, first one to break Arnold's record, Lee Haney, who shout out was born right down the road in Rutherford, North Carolina.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, okay. Great guy.
My favorite
grew up in Spartanburg.
Builder all the time though, not to segue.
No, you're fine.
Dave Metzer.
Yeah, Dave Metzer. Yeah, Mike Metzer. You mean?
Mike Metzer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave
See him
Metzer.
and
I was thinking Dave Meltzer. Fuck.
But here, so here I am. And I've got a decent body now, and people are walking up to me going, well, I met Callum Von Moger. People are walking up to me, man, you got bigger arms than Callum Von Moger. Well, I feel like my arms are small, and I'm like, wow, and I've got that picture with me and Callum shaking hands, and people are like, man, your arms are bigger than his, and all that, and I'm like, no, not really. I think it's just the way the camera's angled, but maybe they are.
It's got to be like
it's hard for you,
right,
to give yourself the credit whenever you've seen these other people on such
I guess
a
you could
pedestal
say,
in your own mind. You have to. Sometimes it's hard to step back and be like, well, I really did do this,
right? And then at the same time, what do we all want? We want validation. We want the validation of our peers.
You can say you don't, but everyone does.
And that's the reason I told you guys whenever I was coming on here, I'm humbled to be here because I found out about your podcast.
We're grateful.
Yeah,
sure.
This is part of that validation, and I truly from the bottom of my heart thank you.
No,
and
thank you.
vice versa, bro. Like I said, like
we feel like the same way as far as in our craft. It's like we even get scared to ask certain people to do it because
I said before we started, bro, I fear the rejection.
Yeah.
I do like,
Yeah,
and I know that's a problem, and I
But
know
you
you
never
gotta.
fear the no. So I work in sales for my day job, right? Part of in sales is you can never fear the no. The worst thing that can happen is you get rejected. You go back to the drawing board and you come back.
Yep.
You know, John Cena said it in his promo. You know, failure. Okay, so I know what I got to do. I got to pick myself up. I got to move on. I've had to do that in this journey with wrestling. I've had to do it in this journey since I've been back for the
Just
last
in
2
life,
years.
really, bro.
Yeah,
It's-
you know, and wrestling. Mick Foley said it best. Wrestling is real. Real life is fake. You know, so, but you know, it's one of those things.
Got a point.
He's not wrong.
You know,
Got a point.
You know, you got to deal with politics a lot with wrestling. You got to deal with politics in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look at the similarities.
Well, that was a good point to end on before we take another break.
was
I
good.
love that. That was really good.
It's a great question, Trevor.
Yeah. Hey,
You know.
man, I do this. So.
Hey guys, this is Spotlight Scotty Brooks coming to you live from the No Look Passengers Lounge, sponsored by JRE Tobacco and Aladino Cigars. Found everywhere great cigars are found. Hit us up, listen to the podcast,
I just
enjoy
want
your
to start
time.
this one off by, bro. First off, open invitation. Anytime you want to come back.
I'm down.
You know, because we've just been talking all kinds of just wrestling shit, bro, and that's my shit.
I love it. I love it.
I love.
I've been
that.
telling him, and he needs to have a full wrestling segment. I mean, I know he doesn't want to get boxed in with the podcast. Like, we talk about all kinds of stuff, but it's really where his passion lies. And whenever you have that passion and, like, you can connect to the people watching, that's whenever you get your true, full experience and you get everything out of it. Like,
There's just something about it, bro. Like, I can't. It's even just wrestling. Like, we can just talk about that. There's just something about it that just intrigues me so much. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on the exact reason what it is or why or how, but it's just there, bro. And it's just a part of my life, bro, and it always will be. And like I said off the pod, it's like in an essence, bro, I really feel like wrestling changed my life in a sense of I'm not trying to be the wrestler. I'm not doing that. But the way I see it, it's like,
Why not?
well, listen.
well,
I feel like I'm.
let me
past-
tell you why, sir.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Let me tell you something. No, it's like, why personally? Because I feel like I bullshitted and I let people talk me out of my dream. You know what I'm saying?
So?
But
You know what I'm saying?
there it is. But on this aspect of it, I want to tackle.
Like, how does that help?
I want to tackle this side of it. Is like I want to be involved in it as a fan. I think I enjoy being a fan.
Okay.
I think I enjoy understanding it and like getting the rush and feeling all that. It's like I think I enjoy being a fan.
Yeah.
More than I want to be in it. Almost kind of. But there is a dream of like every door frame I walk into, every business I go into, there's this vision in my head of like, this is WrestleMania and I'm coming out to the. It's like, is that crazy? Is that wild?
So
or-
I'll tell you something really funny. Whenever I'm, I like to keep things fresh. There's certain things I like to keep fresh. You know,
Yeah.
we all like to keep things fresh in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you gotta go spice up the old wrestling repertoire or whatever. If I'm ever thinking about a different theme song or something of that, I will literally put it on in my living room, and then I'll be like, okay, what is that? No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
like that in the mirror experience.
It's a student of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's someone who's obsessed.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it is. I'll tell you this. It's one of those things. Once you get involved, whether it's as a fan or behind the scenes, I think maybe you would enjoy being like a booker or something like that.
I would love that shit.
Or whether you're involved in some way, shape, or
Just
form.
any form.
It's just like people with any other sport. You get upset, or any other form of entertainment. They get involved, they become obsessed, and there's, make it a healthy obsession. That's the main thing. We're all guilty of taking an obsession way too far.
Yeah.
And I've done it myself. There's certain things during COVID, I really got in hunting and fishing.
Yep.
A lot.
Yeah.
You know, it was an everyday thing. You know,
I know the feeling.
And I had just about every type of fishing gear and I bought everything I could for a gun. Like, oh God, COVID's happening. You know?
You got the tree stand.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Backpack. You're climbing up a whole tree. And
You still got it up right now. Yeah. But you know, I will say this. Follow that passion. If that's something you enjoy, and that's to anybody out there that's watching and listening, whatever your passion is, whatever your obsession is, there's nothing wrong with that. My obsession, believe it or not, at a younger age, other than wrestling, was tobacco, was cigars. I got in. I'm living the perfect life for me right now. By day, I work as a cigar salesman, and I absolutely love it. I literally get paid to hang out with people, drink bourbon, smoke cigars, and just have a good time and promote. And then on top of that, my weekend obsession is professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I mean, now how can I burn the candle at both wicks? That's where it becomes unhealthy.
Yeah.
And, you know, wrestling, you know, people are constantly, can you come do this? Can you come do that? Can you, you know, and you have to be able to make time for, you know, if you have a family, if you have friends, you know, get them involved in some way, shape, or form with your obsession. Make them a part of it.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of veering off topic, but me and Trevor talk about this a lot with this.
Who?
Trevor.
That guy?
Yeah.
The guy that doesn't talk.
Hey, look, I'm being a student of the game right now.
I know you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I did have a banger. I had a banger of a good question this episode, and I'm sure that'll be a clip. So I'm gonna go ahead and
He's done. He's cashed out.
Here. Let's, wait a minute. Let's hear the question, then I'll pat you on the back.
Oh, he's already asked it. He was talking.
I thought
what
you had
he's
another
saying
one.
is
No, look, the thing about my question is that literally over an hour went by since I heard something that you said.
Okay.
And I thought about it for a long time before I asked it, and I put it together so perfectly. Even by then, I was a little bit buzzed too, and it still came out like, you know.
Perfect.
So I just had to pat myself on the back.
But my question is,
my
question is I talk to this about Trevor a lot, and I kind of tell him like, with this podcast shit, it's like, bro, we have to go crazy for it. We have to be insane for it. We can't expect people to believe in it as much as we do, because we have to be crazy for it. That's because I've never seen no one not make it. I've only seen people give up and quit.
Well, okay, so you're a basketball guy, right? You're a basketball guy, right? All right, and I'm a basketball guy. What's the one thing that separated Jordan and Kobe from everybody else?
Just willpower. It's just mental.
Work ethic, right?
The passion and the drive.
The passion and the drive. And what did they do? They had the work ethic that was second to none. Nobody else has ever talked about that. I love one thing I heard about that Kobe Bryant said one time, and I've tried to implement it into my life. I'm not the world's best at it. I can be very lazy at times. But one of the things Kobe Bryant said was, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. By the time, and people are still in bed. Mm-hmm. I've went to the gym. By that time, from 4 to 6, I'm in the gym. By the time I get home at 7, after I shower, I eat breakfast, I do some work, I'm back at the gym by 10, and so on and so forth. Eat, back at the gym, back at the gym, back at the gym. By the time you've got 2 workouts in, he's got 4, and he's going to do 5 that day.
Because he just knows he's working harder.
And then here's the thing, no matter what amount of work you put in on your own, you're not outworking him, so you're not going to be better than him. Mm-hmm. So my advice to you guys is keep after that. Whenever other people tell you it can't be done, or Joe Rogan's already done it, or there's so many podcasters out there, which there is. So who cares? I mean, everybody and their brother has a podcast now. So find what you guys do it well, and stand out.
And then do it better.
And do it better than everybody else. And who knows? Maybe in 10 years you can have me back and we can talk about
10
the good old
years.
days.
I'm talking 10 days, baby. After we beat Frankie Kazarian this weekend.
I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about in 10 years we can all be sitting back in a big ass mansion like Joe Rogan has.
Oh yeah.
Then you guys got 5 Teslas in the garage, or a Ferrari, a Jaguar switching 4 lanes. Whatever. And. I applaud it. I say put in the work, put in that hard work that nobody else wants to.
I guess my question in essence was, you think you got to go crazy for the dream? You know,
Yeah,
do you
you
think
do.
you have to?
So let's talk about our mutual friend. Let's talk about some stuff that a lot of people don't know. And Dan, I'm sorry if I'm letting too much out of the bag here, but we go way back.
I will counter that by saying, Dan, you're just a fucking great human being.
You're a great guy, man.
You're
And-
like,
and
I'm not
saying
even
this
blowing
is a-
smoke up you, bro. Like,
you
just
know,
inspiration wise.
Listen, I came in the business with him, and he's an inspiration to me every day.
So it's like,
so
and that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I look at him as like, you're from the same place as me.
Yeah.
You had the same dream as me.
Yeah,
and you didn't give up.
Right. So let's talk about it. I mean, he had a very tough life growing up. Okay, I'm not going to go in there. That's not for me to talk about. He was working different jobs. I remember you remember Chow Time Pizza. He worked at
We
Chow
were
Time
talking
Pizza.
about Chow Time earlier.
He worked at Chow Time Pizza for years up there. I mean, I remember getting a new phone, walking in and taking a picture and being like, "Hey, man, remember this place?" Wow, it's changed a lot. He was doing that. He moved to Asheville so he could get a better job.
Yep.
And he kept pursuing. He went overseas to wrestle. He went to England. He went to Japan when people were telling him not to go. Mm-hmm. You can't afford that. And he was saving every dime that he could to put back into it because he knew that if he worked hard and he believed. And I remember, I think I said this to him a long time ago, whenever we were all back on the trampolines and we were going between independent and trampoline. That's what we were doing. And I remember telling him at one time, out of everybody here, and we were all on the indie scene, out of everybody in this locker room, you're the one guy that will make it. You're the one guy that will make it. And I'm talking about, and I was in a locker room, I said that I know will make it. Mm-hmm. I was in a locker room at that time with, like I said, Gunner on TNA, John Schuyler, all these guys that have made it. I was in that locker room. And I remember telling him, I've known that since we were on that trampoline together, that you were going to make it. Because you had your champions, your greatest of all times, your GOATs, Brady, Jordan, Kobe, your Jeters, your Babe Ruths, your Willie Mays, Wayne Gretzky's, Gordie Howe's, they're cut from a different cloth.
They have to be, though.
Yeah, and exactly. There's a different mindset that goes into it. So no matter what it is that you want to do, have that mindset. So what if mom and dad tell you, maybe they don't understand.
Which most of the time they fucking don't.
No, they don't. They don't. Oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. You need to. Well, that worked for you. Well, Mom, I'm not you. Dad, I'm not you. I'm going to do my thing.
It's also a different time. Like there's different ways to get to the same outcome now.
Yeah.
It's like if I can have a 401k and retire from making a podcast, bro. What's the difference between that and working at Baxter's for 50 fucking years?
I think you'd have a lot more happiness doing the podcast.
Exactly.
When people say like, "Oh, you think you're gonna be like rich and famous off of this or any other thing I do," it's like that's not the goal.
Happiness.
The goal is to have the same life I have now.
It's fulfillment
by
to me.
doing what I love to do.
Right.
My life is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I'm not happy is whenever I'm doing things that I don't dream of doing. And everyone has to go through that. Everyone has to do the job that they don't love in order to fund their life and the things that they love to do. But look, you can do those things by doing what you love.
And then once you get into it, a lot of people want to skip A through,
through Y.
A through Y, and they want to go straight to Z and be on top. And they don't realize it. I see it all the time in wrestling. Well,
Nobody thinks about the Q. But the Q is in the alphabet. You have to go through the Q to get to the Z.
You have to go through B to get
you feel me? Yeah.
to get to Z. Yeah. So there's nothing. Everybody's got scratch and claw. Everybody started at the bottom somewhere. So you got to put in that work. You got to go through A to understand B, and you got to go through B to understand C, and so on and so forth. And a lot of people don't want to do that. That's a product of
environment
I'm gonna say participation trophies and that bullshit.
I agree with that.
Instant gratification is what everybody wants nowadays, and you can't always have instant gratification. Everybody wants to be an overnight star in wrestling, basketball. I dealt with it with my stepdaughter for a while. Whenever she was playing softball, she says, "Why am I not good at this?" Well, honey, you're just now. This is your very first year. These girls have been playing for 8 years before you.
Yeah,
it takes hard work. You gotta work 5 times as hard as they do just to even catch up.
To catch up, yeah.
And you
It's
got to
like-
want it more than them.
That's exactly
Just like
right.
Kobe did, because like everybody around knows that I was great at baseball, but I didn't want it for myself. As good as I was, I didn't put in the work
Right.
like other people did. So there was people who weren't as good who ended up going further, and it's like I didn't want that. Did I hit 200 balls a day? Did I throw a bullpen every day? Yes, but did I want to do that? No, I was forced to.
Right.
If I loved it and I said I want to do this, I guarantee you it would have. And I mean, I'm not saying I would have made it, but like it.
Well, you would
It,
have.
it would be different. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and here's the thing: you would have went out, even if you went out to an injury or something along those lines.
The
you
odds-
would be you would have. The journey is part of the ordeal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to go through the journey whenever the journey is the
You
best.
got to fall in
part.
love with. Everyone knows you got to fall in love with the process. I saw a quote that said, "Don't tell me I'm lucky when I failed more times than you tried."
Absolutely.
And everything that I love to do and that I've tried to do, it's all failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's okay because that's how you learn. And I mean, like, we talk about results with this podcast, and we're like, as of right now, we're not really looking at results. We're looking
but
at
I
how
don't think
did
we
I get
fail
better.
by no means.
I don't think that we fail. I don't think.
Like, I'm so proud of this motherfucking place, bro. Like, look at it. Like,
I walked in,
like-
so I'm not gonna lie. I watched a couple of the earlier episodes that you guys had, and I was like, "All right, cool." I thought I was just gonna be walking in, chilling on the couch. Like,
Oh,
the whole day.
so you
And-
went to the-
I went
straight
to, like,
couch.
I went straight to the couch episodes. Man, I walked in and I saw this. I was like, whenever I walked in with you, I was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the shit."
We
dude.
really-
it
I
really
mean-
is. This is great.
I can't lie. At the time, I went broke, putting some of this stuff together.
we put it,
But that's
we
what
put it
makes
all in
when
here,
you
bro.
succeed.
Yeah.
And when you have moments like, if you,
I remember
I'm glad that
buying
you
these
guys,
fucking chairs and being like,
yeah,
not the last thing I got, but let's do it,
yeah. But when you succeed, you feel. I'll tell you one of the times I actually felt like I made it was about 8 years ago, whenever I first got into the cigar business. And one of the first things I always said was, "Man, when I buy a huge, big screen TV, I'll know I've done it."
Yeah.
And I remember walking in, and I'm talking about like not like your Roku or whatever,
No,
like
but
like
I
a
know what you
badass
mean,
TV. And I walked
The
into
football
like
watching TV.
yeah, exactly. And I walked into a Best Buy in Kansas City, Kansas, and I picked out this badass TV, and I dropped that debit card down. And I was like, I got all that money right there. And it wasn't a tax return.
Yeah.
It wasn't any bullshit like that. It was 100%. I'm buying this thing because I can afford it. And I was like, I felt like a gangster. I felt like I was straight up G status. Like, so I get it. Whenever you're talking about buying these chairs, you feel these chairs are comfy. By the way,
Dude, I
don't know what
that.
you gave me.
Appreciate
Which one over here? I
mean,
sat in that one. That one was nice. This one,
That one's mine.
Yeah, that's
one's
where
usually
he's
mine.
sitting. So, take that up with him. But
Put some
I mean,
miles
like,
on it.
even whenever we started doing this podcast, I had this little MacBook, and I was so frustrated because I'm trying to put out 2 hours of 4K footage. It was not working.
Wasn't
I'd get
working.
99% exported, and it would say failed. I ain't gonna say how much I spent on the new computer, but I had to do that.
yeah.
And like, did I just need it for this? I do a lot of other things, so technically no. But like for my whole life, like buying a computer that some people spend on their car, like
Yeah, no,
it
listen,
had to be done.
yeah,
And
chase that dream.
camera and all that.
Chase that dream, and somebody was signaling off camera here about something. Part of the reason that you do it is the adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah.
There's an adrenaline rush whenever you're in front of the camera or whenever you're out in the ring that a lot of people don't understand unless they're in a performing art or a sport.
Bro, I'll give you the perfect example. Just like you today. Like I told Trevor, I was like, "Hey, let's podcast today." I was like, I might have this one dude pull up. I was like, he's a wrestler. I'm into wrestling. I was just kind of explaining, like, trying to kind of like hype him up, like this might happen. And then you hit me back. I was like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it switched from like, all right, Trevor, it's not about let's do it. It's we got to do it now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, it's been fun as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I realized that this is what I love to do.
Dude,
Like,
people don't.
Well, it's the
I'm
same thing.
I'm a talking motherfucker, bro. I can talk to anybody at damn near any time in any scenario.
What was your mom's name?
Come
I mean,
on,
I might be your
Come
daddy.
on,
No,
come
I'm just
on,
playing.
come on. I am a bastard son.
No, I'm
I'm a
kidding,
bastard
I'm kidding.
son.
Huh?
I'm a bastard son.
Oh God, I don't want to pay any child support.
I'm 30 now, so
yeah. that would've
2K right now, bro. We'll call it even.
been-
We usually do.
that would have been statute on her part.
but like, nah, man. It's just I don't know, man. Like I fell in love with this and the journey, and it's just like, man, it's all the same. Like if you're trying to be a podcaster or a wrestler, or if you want to be the fucking best fucking warehouse worker you want to be, bro, if that's what you want to do, like, do it and do it to the best of your ability, and like actually give a fuck about it, because I go to the day job every day.
That's the first step.
I go to the day job every day, and I'm like, I hate this, but I know I have to do this,
right,
and I have to do this the best I can so I can be better than everyone else here. So when I get off, I know I'm like, I was the best there. Now I got to be the best at
absolutely.
This shit.
You know, a lot of people don't. Like again, what do you guys? What I say, you summed it up perfectly. You got to go through B or Q to get to Z. So you know, and in order to get that rush that we're talking about, you still have to put in the hard work.
The fucking work.
You have to, you know, if you want to be a wrestler, you got to be in the gym. You got to go to wrestling school. You got to, you know, there's all sorts of, you need to be a student of the game, watch film. And I'm not talking about, I love it whenever I heard this. I'll tell you a funny story about a young guy. He comes up to me, I'm like, did you watch any film, you know, leading up to this, thinking about stuff? Oh, well, I watched these Hardy Boy spots and all that. And I was like, which match did you watch? Oh, I watched TLC. I'm like, okay, time out. Our match is not a TLC match. So why would you watch that looking for a spot?
Yeah, like it doesn't even correlate.
Right.
Like it's not what we're doing.
Yeah, you know. So
there's 8 motherfuckers in that match. It's
exactly.
2 of us, bro.
Yeah. You know, not only that, it's a regular match.
Yeah.
So why would you watch that? Whatever. And I mean, I kind of felt bad for the kid. I mean, I dressed him down pretty bad in the locker room. I mean, I went pretty hard on him. But what I will say is that kid came back. Yeah, it ran him off of business for about a good 6 months. He wouldn't show his face at any wrestling shows. Then he came back and he said, I want to do it. I want to learn. Help me. That takes guts.
It does, bro.
You know, it takes
100%.
guts to get dressed down by somebody and then come back to that person and say, hey, you were right. That's part of being a man. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's lacking in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different parts, not just in wrestling or podcasting, but in society.
In real life.
You know, people, nobody wants to admit their mistakes. Nobody wants to admit, you know, if I'm so stubborn, I'm a very, very stubborn person. I'm very set in my ways. But if you come to me and say, hey, you slighted me, if you convince me that I slighted you, you know, I might argue with you and be like, well, this is why I did this. You know, I want you to hear my side.
But at the end of the day, you don't want to slight nobody.
Right,
As a human being,
yeah,
you know,
I'll say, well, listen, if you feel that way, I apologize. I didn't mean to make you feel that way, but I want you to understand why I came about it the way I did.
Yeah.
What does that hurt anybody?
Nothing. Your pride, maybe.
Yeah. So you know, I had a drill instructor tell me one time in the military, fuck your pride and fuck your feelings. Put a condom over your heart because I'm gonna fuck your feelings.
That's how it's really how it is, bro.
You know, so you know, going back to it, you know, the wrestling business is it's changed a lot in that sense. A lot of people don't want to go after that dream. They think that they should be in the WWE tonight or AEW tomorrow or TNA or
it's a
wherever.
process, man.
But you still got to work hard. You still got to go out there. You got to get the people to film your matches. You got to, you know, you got to do this. You got to do, you know, email the clips. You got to do all that. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to do it.
It's a process, and the person who does it more than anybody else will win every single
so
time.
going back, so we were talking about Daniel. So going back to what all he did. So he went to Asheville, worked a bunch of jobs, and he was going all over the world. He made a contact. A lot of people don't know this. He made a contact. We were just talking about the guy, Regal. Mm-hmm. Regal helped him, and then he mentioned this on Cornette. So I'm going to mention this. Probably, and this was probably one of the most surreal moments. Would you believe that there's been a 10 or 12 time WWE champion in Marion at the Armory at a show?
Would I believe it now? Now maybe after this hour conversation, but before then, no.
Edge was backstage at a show that I main evented one night.
Hell yeah.
And he was willing to give everybody, Adam Copeland is one of the nicest human beings.
Local too. He's up the
lives
mountain, right?
Nashville. So Dan made that contact. And Adam actually came out to the show, sat in the locker room, and watched every match as a fan and as somebody.
Hell yeah.
And I literally remember watching people tell a 12-time champion that has done way more than I will ever do in the business sit there and say, well, but I was doing, well, but. And anytime you hear somebody say, well, but, they're not listening.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not listening. You know, they're more interested in convincing you that they weren't wrong.
That they were good. Or,
yeah. And I sat there and, and this was 15 years ago, and I was sitting there going, where are we going as a society? Instead of saying, you know what, I really appreciate that, and I thank you for the, he came to me and he said, if you did this, and this, he said, it was a great match. If you did this, and this, it'd be a 5-star match.
And you take that and you understand it.
Well, why not? I mean, that's a 5-star legend right there. A lot of people put him on their Mount Rushmore. They would put him in GOAT status. They would.
Who's still going, by the way.
Exactly. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you listen?
And another thing with Dan too, not to segue or praise Dan too much in your episode, but people like that, when people like that talk good about you, you're in good company. You know what I'm saying? When legends of the game and great people have good things to say about you, you're in good company. You're doing something. You're doing something right. That's legend. I actually met. This is crazy. I was working at Finish Line one time in Asheville at the Asheville Mall,
right.
The Ingles by the Asheville Mall. I met Edge and Jim Ross. They were handing out turkeys.
Oh wow.
In Asheville one holiday season.
That's pretty cool.
And my boss came into work and was like, "You'll never guess who I just seen at the Ingles." He was like, "Damn Jim Ross and Edge." I said, "I gotta go see this shit, man." I left work. I went and I seen him, and it was cool. It was cool as fuck, man. Edge is fucking great. That match Sunday was insane.
Edge is a good dude. Like I said, I've had one, maybe 2 interactions with him. Every interaction I've ever had with him was really pleasant. I've only had a couple of bad interactions with people in a locker room, and they're so far down on it that they don't even deserve to be mentioned, or they're not even. I would call them mud show wrestlers. So,
bunch of fucking mutts.
Mud show.
I thought you said mutt show.
No, mud,
like a dog show.
So the reason, I'll give you a little history lesson before we time out. The reason you call it a mud show was it's called Outlaw Mud Show. So back in the day, in the territory days, everything was controlled by the NWA, right?
Okay.
So the Outlaw guys, believe it or not, Randy Savage's dad or whatever, IWA back in the day, but we're not going to say him, but others that were not like him, they would run a show with wrestlers that weren't that great, and they would be in a barn somewhere with a lot of mud, and so you would call it an Outlaw Mud Show.
It makes sense.
So
in like an old barn.
Yeah.
See, wrestling is really real life.
Yeah.
Like Mick Foley said, wrestling is real. Real life is
fake.
All right, so let's take a break from wrestling for just 1 second, man.
All right.
Tell me about Aldino Cigars. It's Aldino Cigars, right?
It's Aladino. Aladino. So
it's that Marion education.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I got the same education as you.
Yeah.
So going back, the family that I work for, if you'll look here on the label right here, there's a name on every label of our cigars, Julio Aroa. So JRE Tobacco, that's who it's all named after. Julio Aroa was the OG.
I'm so stupid. I thought you were making a Joe Rogan joke.
No.
I ain't going to lie.
No.
I was like, because I know he has the cigar.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
Like,
So Julio Aroa was the very first person that the country of Honduras, after the Cuban embargo, invited. They literally invited him to come from Cuba and grow tobacco.
Okay.
So with that being said, he was the one, literally the very first person to start growing outside of Cuba after that, which is a very big deal. So whenever you talk about big names within that industry, there's the Aroa family, the Plasencias. Well, there's a connection there. Julio Aroa sponsored Nestor Plasencia to come out, and his entire family, brothers, sisters, everything, to come out of Cuba, grow tobacco in Honduras, And then you've got the Padrones and the Fuentes and all that.
Fuente, I think, is familiar.
Yeah.
I think
Nestor Plasencia grows a lot of tobacco for like Rocky Patel, General Cigar Company. General makes Punch. They make Macanudo, all those brands that you're Cohiba, that you're familiar with from the Cuban market. They took a lot of those names and brought them over since the trademarks in Cuba don't apply in America because of the embargo.
So it's some deep business.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. And so, with that being said, the Aroa family is probably one of the most prestigious people or families to work for, if not the most prestigious. And to be honest, I'm one of only 2 employees that work for them that is not a part of the family, but they treat me just like family. I'm Justo, his son, who runs Jerry Tobacco. It's really funny. He treats me right now like I'm the baby son, because I'm the second employee that he's hired.
I don't want to segue too far off of this, but do you think that is an international thing? Because like we were talking about like Eddie earlier, and like I feel like foreign people almost have a better sense of family.
Well, yeah. They do. So I'll tell you a funny story. Whenever I'm in Vegas, one of my things is I kind of like just to be alone. After I spend 18 hours a day with you, I want to go be by myself for a little bit and decompress. Yeah, and they are very much the opposite. It's they got a lot of Spanish blood, Cuban blood in them, and from Latin America. So they're all about family sticks together, and there is no, they all grow up. There's no privacy. You don't have your own room. You don't have those things. Whenever I went to Honduras for the first time, one of the first things I said was, man, I am so glad to live in America. People think Marion is horrible. Go down to Danlí, Honduras. Go to Tegucigalpa. Go to Nicaragua. Go to those places and look how people live on a daily basis, and it will truly make you appreciative. So anyways, Aladino, Julio he started Camacho Cigars. He grew tobacco for everybody, and then taught them how to grow tobacco. Aladino came about after he had Camacho, sold that to a company called Davidoff. They make Ron White cigar. There's a bunch of other.
Those are the small ones, right?
No. He like those.
Okay. Because I know he smokes those like small
Ron White
ones, right?
likes the small cigars, but that's not his cigar.
So it's called the Zeno. He's Davidoff Zeno. That's one of his. But they sold that. They had a 5-year non-compete. Whenever they came back, they named the company JRE Tobacco. Now, Davidoff only bought the name and the factory for millions. They did not buy the blends. So all of these cigars here, like the original, we're known for Corojo tobacco. Corojo tobacco is what 90%, and I'm going to get to this in a little bit, but it's what 90% of all the Cubans were made of at pre-embargo. We're the only farm in the world that grows that type of tobacco where it's never been hybridized or anything. But anyways, so they do that, have 5-year non-compete, come back, we bring back that. Our first cigar actually that we brought back was this one. It's the Aladino Corojo. Now, again, we are known for our Corojo tobacco. That Corojo tobacco is it's very distinct in its flavor. Most plants get about as tall, if not taller than me, 6 to 10 feet tall. Yeah. Corojo only gets like 4.5 to 5 feet, so it's about that tall right there on that. Now, what makes that very problematic is there's a thing called blue mold. Okay. Blue mold will come in and wipe out an entire crop of tobacco.
Yep. In like one day too. Like it moves fast. Right?
It'll wipe it out. Boom, it's gone, and then that crop's done. So what a lot of growers did, a lot of farmers, is they hybridized it with Habano, a different species of tobacco, to make it more sturdy, so it grows taller. It's not as susceptible to the mold. But then what's happened now is it loses that old school Cuban flavor. This is the only Corojo unhybridized on the market, and what's really cool is you get 90% of your flavor comes from your binder and your wrapper. Every cigar we make, except for about 2 or 3, has a Corojo binder and filler.
Okay, so
and then you can see how the wrapper leaf changes the complexity of the cigar and all that. And but yeah, I came to work for these guys. I got in the business of cigars about 2016, worked for Rocky Patel, left them, moved back to North Carolina, worked for another company which I shall not speak of. Did not end in a great. Not going to go down that way.
Fuck you, R.J. Reynolds.
No, wasn't that.
No, I'm just kidding.
But then we went. I went to work for these guys. One of my best friends in the world works for them. He was their very first hire outside the family, and he kept telling them, "Hey, you got to hire this guy out of North Carolina." Whenever I was in Kansas, he was my rep. He's the best rep on them, and I appreciate that, Trey. He was always singing my praises, and our owner is that guy that if he doesn't see it, he doesn't believe it. But whenever you show him, he's all in. And he said, the company I was working for, he's like, I don't see them anywhere. He was like, I went to North and South Carolina. I've seen them everywhere. And I was like, well,
Yeah,
that's part of the job.
we're trying to grow it.
So, but I started working for them February 1st of last year, and I couldn't be happier. They treat me so much like family. It's not even funny. So
Excellent, dude.
And we even argue like family. Like we can get mad and cuss each other out. Have to have a mediator, and then the next day, I love you.
At the dinner table, everything.
Yeah, it's great. I've been cussed out and I've been praised. So just like a real family.
That's fucking awesome, bro. Because tobacco, like here, it's like it's not really a delicacy almost.
It is, but it isn't. It's a niche market. Cigars are a niche market.
For sure, because
kind of like pro wrestling.
You think exactly. It's like you think
it's not for everybody.
You think tobacco, like Tobacco Road. Like I think of the
Duke
Fields
and
of Tobacco,
Yeah.
Duke and Carolina, and I think of Chew.
Yeah.
You put a fucking put a dip in and you spit that shit and you go.
But what's crazy is that's about the highest quality tobacco that you can get is cigars.
And that's kind of what I was about to ask. Is like it's like almost a whole different echelon of like this plant does this for common folk.
So look at this. Like your chew and your snuff would kind of be like your high school basketball players and everything, and then your cigarettes would be like your D3 and D2 guys. Your black and milds would kind of be like your 1AA,
like your D1, but like a
Gonzaga or whatever.
Yeah, I started to say like
not
a Butler.
No, not even a Gonzaga. Like I'm gonna say still D2.
Okay,
and then
like a Coastal Carolina.
And then like your Coastal Carolina's D1.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And then you got like your lower end cigars would be, and your pipe tobaccos would be like your Butlers and all that.
App States.
And then like your mid-range of the cigars would be like your D1s, like your Carolinas and all that. And then your really elite cigars would be like your NBA players.
Okay.
And we would probably fit in, everybody buys our tobacco.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'll let you
So you
decide.
could probably be a FIBA World Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like NBA players is
Yeah,
playing
I mean,
in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, so that it's that, and then going into the match on Saturday, I'm gonna plug Mr. Kazarian's cigar company. So a lot of people don't know this. Frankie and Cody Rhodes own a cigar company called
He was
American
telling me
Rebel
about this.
Cigars.
Okay.
We're there's a possible partnership on the horizon with American Rebel in Aladino. We are working towards that. It's becoming a known fact within the industry. Everybody knows within both industries that Frankie and I have been talking about this, and we're going to try to make it happen. But sometimes whenever there's business, there's also, you have some arguments. So we're going to step in the ring on Saturday night, June 1st at Neil Clark Recreation Center, Hickory, North Carolina. VIP opens at $30. Get a 8x10 autographed by Frankie and myself, and a picture with the belt.
Hey, you can't beat that.
And then $15 for ringside, $12 for general admission. We're going to step into the ring. We're going to settle
it out.
Yeah.
Settle it the fuck out.
So
now,
let's talk Frankie for a second. Let's talk about one of the greatest all time to ever step into the ring.
How do you feel going into it, and then also like, do you feel like there's any added pressure of him being who he is?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like going up against Michael Jordan. I mean, stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali.
Because I look at it as like, okay, that's Frankie Kazarian, but like, he's coming here for Spotlight Scotty. He's
Yeah.
he's never been here before.
Right.
You brought him out here.
Yeah. Let's be honest.
This ain't a Frankie Kazarian show. Like
Yeah.
he's coming to step in. In the South into your world.
That's right. So we're, let's quote one of the greatest of all time. Let's talk about Spotlight Scotty Brooks for a second. Let's talk about how I am a reflection of perfection, that number one selection. Let's talk about how, I got a body now that the men fear and the women cheer. 245 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, my brother. Whenever he steps in the ring with me on Saturday night, I mean, he could, listen, I could easily fade to black. But he could just as easily be looking up at those lights. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
He's got to remember one thing. You don't have to be in one of the big companies anymore in order to be considered a legend.
It's a new world.
I mean,
new time.
That's exactly right. And I might be a legend in my own mind, but there's very few people out there that have been doing this for the length that he and I have. So I think this is going to be one of the most well-kept secrets, but I think it's one of those, where, provided everything goes the way that it should go, that, you're going to hear a lot more from Spotlight Scotty Brooks. And then, and then right down the road, I've got Jay Lethal. I mean, let's talk Jay Lethal, one of the greatest to do it too. I mean, that lethal injection, I still think that's one of the greatest finishers in all of
it's gotta
wrestling.
Be.
I mean,
it has to be.
But he's coming here.
And again, that's not off of Frankie Kazarian.
No.
I see a lot of I see the posters. I see his face everywhere. I see the promo. But
right.
like, to me, I just feel like he thinks this is an easy payday.
I really think Frankie does.
I think he's biting off more than he can chew, man.
I think this is a perfect Rocky moment.
Which Rocky though?
Rocky 2.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was saying.
Rocky 2, and then you got to go Rocky 3.
Because Apollo gets beaten Rocky 2, and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, in this situation, I am Rocky Balboa. I'm the brawler. I'm the one that's got to take the fight to him, not let him bring the fight to me. And I've always thought that that's one of the best things that I do is bring the, especially for the last 500 and some days, is world heavyweight champion for Ring of Fire Wrestling.
How long have you been champ?
I just said it. Did you not hear me? 500 and some days.
How long have you been champ?
540 some days. I don't know.
Say it with pride.
Hey, listen. You're going to have to take this thing out of my cold dead hands. I mean, let's be honest.
And with that point being said, personally, I just don't think Frankie Kazarian is the guy to do it. I mean, I've seen the moxie. I watched you walk in here. I watched you talk on the mic. I just don't think. I think he's coming in. I think he's cruising on down to Western North Carolina.
I agree.
I think he's coming in. He's gonna stop in for a day, smoke a cigar, and he thinks it's gonna be a day's work and leave. I think, I don't know how PG this show is, but I think he's gonna get fucked up.
We're going to find out.
I think Frankie Kazarian got an ass whooping coming to him.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I have no problem.
And that's just me.
I have no problem taking this.
Am I biased? 100%.
I appreciate that.
I'll admit it.
Yeah.
But all from all aspects, from all sides, I look at this match. I just don't. I don't.
Which lion goes out and hunts the hardest? The one that's the hungriest.
The one that's
I don't see the hunger in Frankie's eyes. I'm hungry.
I see it.
Let's talk about it. Let's get to TNA. Listen, I'd love for this to carry over into TNA. Let's talk, Frankie. Let's talk. We can make this happen.
I don't. If by an act of God, if somehow Frankie Kazarian can come here and get the job done.
Yep.
Then I think maybe he could. Then I think maybe he's deserving of the praise of the legend status. But I mean, if Frankie Kazarian can't get through Spotlight Scotty Brooks, it's clear his time's over. The time is not now.
Well,
the time's done for Frank.
Is it? Or how many times do we see the champion in a lot of? I mean, perfect example. I don't know how much of a boxing fan you are. Hasim Rahman, Lennox Lewis, South Africa, 1998. Go back and watch that whenever. I mean, it might have been a little bit later, 99, 2000, somewhere in there. Lennox Lewis. Hasim Rahman went there 3 months ahead of time to get accustomed to the altitude.
Yep.
Lennox Lewis flew in 2 weeks before the fight. I thought he would be fine.
Gets
knocked out in the 4th round.
I'll give you a better one. My favorite my favorite boxer to watch, bro. Roberto Duran.
Oh yeah.
The first Sugar Ray Leonard fight.
Yes.
Where he beat the dog shit out of him.
Yes.
He put everything on that man. He could not. Sugar Ray Leonard was walking in there like he had the fight won.
That's right.
And Roberto Duran put the fucking beats on him.
But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm more like Sugar Ray. I'm going to make him say no mas.
Well, you didn't let me. Scotty, you didn't even let me finish.
I knew where you was going.
You didn't even let me get to the second fight. You didn't even let me get to the second fight.
Let's talk about that second fight. No mas.
I think Frank might be the no mas in this situation.
I think so.
I think he's had his time. I think he. You can't argue the track record.
No, you can't.
You can't. I was a child. I was watching him run across the 6-sided cage.
Yeah.
I watched him put on great match after great match. But this is 2024.
That's right.
This is a new time. This is Spotlight Scotty Brooks' time.
That's right.
I just think on Saturday, Frankie's just gonna have to look at you across that ring and just say no mas.
I'm not disagreeing. I mean, there's a great song out by a band right now that I've been using in a lot of the promo material for this. It's called "Made for This." It's basically saying I won't back down. I was made for this. Walk through the fire. Born in the fire. Walk that wire. I was made for this. And I'm made for those moments. I've always, what did Gene Hackman say in The Replacements to Keanu Reeves, Falco? What did he say? What do winners want at the end of the game? They want the ball. Well, this is the end of the game. Ball. That's the main event. That's listen, everybody's coming to pay to see Frankie. They're coming to see me. There's no doubt about it. I am going to give him a show in the to quote the GOAT, Shawn Michaels, that he has never ever seen before. Why? Because I can. Because I am that guy. I might be the best kept secret in the Carolinas, and that's fine with me. But I guarantee you, by the end of that night, not only will he know my name, but everybody in that arena and everybody out there in the wrestling world is going to know who Spotlight Scotty Brooks is. It's not going to be just a couple of guys in the AEW and the WWE locker room that know who I am. Everybody is going to know who I am and what I did and who I took down that night.
I'm fucking ready, dude. Give them to it one more time. Saturday, June 2nd.
June 1st. June 1st. June 1st.
Run it down for actually.
June 1st.
This is what we're gonna do. Spotlight Scotty Brooks. Appreciate the fuck out of you for coming. Yeah. Open invitation anytime.
Anytime you guys want it,
dude. That last.
I want you to sign this podcast. I want you to sign this
podcast
podcast off.
I'm just sitting here looking.
We're signing off. The No Look Passengers are signing off. But this time right here, this is for Spotlight Scotty Brooks. I'm gonna give you this last 30 seconds. You're looking in that camera, and you just say whatever you want to say to Frankie Kazarian.
Frankie Kazarian, I hope it's nice sitting out there in Southern California in your nice little hot tub, kick back, smoking a cigar, enjoying everything you can. You know what? I think you're great. Nobody can take away your status. You have been one of those guys that even I grew up watching. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you one thing. When you step in that ring Saturday night, June 1st at the Neil Clark Rec Center in Hickory, North Carolina. Yeah, I heard you say that was a stupid name for a town. I heard you say that my name was stupid. That's fine. I'm sure somebody of your stature, the king of TNA, thinks it's that stupid. Well, what I'm hearing is an insecure man. I'm hearing a man that's possibly going through midlife crisis. Let's be honest. You're calling yourself a king of TNA. Well, that's okay. Go be the king. I'll just stay in the spotlight because spotlights only see me, and I only see spotlights.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go!
Run the socials down for us. Tell them where we can find you. where we can follow you.
You can find me on Facebook, Spotlight Scotty Brooks. Let's see, on Instagram, there's two. There's Spotlight Scotty Brooks and at Joel Williams 1281. Snapchat Spotlight 28752. If you want to follow Ring of Fire Wrestling at Ring of Fire Wrestling. And then there's some great guys on that page that you guys should follow also. You know, you guys do whatever you want with that. Also follow Aladino Cigars. Gotta love those. Find them on Facebook at JRE Tobacco.